In the last few minutes, it's been reported that the TV presenter Dermot Murnaghan has died. He's been suffering from cancer. Dermot Murnaghan was one of the UK's longest-serving news presenters, having been on our screens for more than 40 years. And that information just confirmed, and there is a post online from the family of Dermot Murnaghan, who say it is with great sadness that the family of Dermot Murnaghan announces that he passed away at home in North London earlier this morning, the 11th of July, at the age of 68, following a period of illness with prostate cancer. He died peacefully with his family at his side. So that news just coming into us. A very long-standing journalist, known, of course, to many over the decades, having worked at the BBC, formerly at ITN, and at Sky, but very sadly he'd suffered from prostate cancer, something that he did reveal publicly, and he said it was he felt it was in the public interest to do so, and sadly his family have had to release that message. They say that Dermot Murnaghan passed away early this morning, the 11th of July, at his home in North London at the age of 68, and he'd suffered from prostate cancer. He died peacefully with his family at his side. We will bring you more on that news as soon as we can.
It's just been announced that the broadcaster Dermot Murnaghan has died at the age of 68. He was one of the UK's best-known presenters, including here on the BBC's breakfast programme in the early 2000s. His career spanned more than 4 decades, and he worked across all the major UK national networks. Well, our correspondent Aruna Iyengar is here. Aruna, this sad news just announced in the last few minutes.
That's right. The family have sent a message out on X. They've said that it is with great sadness that the family of Dermot Murnaghan announces that he passed away at home in North London earlier this morning at the age of 68, following a period of illness with prostate cancer. He died peacefully with his family at his side. As you said, and Dermot Murnaghan was a broadcaster, a prolific broadcaster. He helmed news programmes including ITV's News at 10, BBC's Breakfast and Channel 4 News. And he spent 16 years as one of the lead anchors on Sky News, where he fronted Murnaghan on Sunday, a weekly show interviewing some of the largest names in politics. As well as covering the news, he also hosted the BBC quiz show Eggheads between 2003 and 2014. He won many television prizes, including the RTS Interviewer of the Year award for his interview with Peter Mandelson, which resulted in his resignation from the cabinet. He leaves a wife, Maria, and 4 adult children.
Aruna, thank you very much.
But for now, we have some breaking news to bring you. It's some very sad news to report for us here, particularly at Sky News. Our former colleague, Dermot Murnaghan, has died. He was 68 years old. He had been diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer. Dermot worked with us at Sky News for 15 years, during which he brought you many of the most consequential moments in modern history, from election nights to state occasions, and of course the death of the late Queen Elizabeth II. We can bring you a statement now on behalf of Dermot's family. It says, "It is with great sadness that the family of Dermot Murnaghan announces that he has passed away at home in North London earlier this morning, the 11th of July, at the age of 68, following a period of illness with prostate cancer. He died peacefully with his family at his side." Well, of course, we here at Sky News would like to express our condolences to his family and to remember a fine friend, journalist and colleague. My colleague Mark Austin looks back on his life and career.
This is Sky News with Dermot Murnaghan, live from Westminster.
Good morning. This is Sky News Tonight, live from Red Square in Moscow. It's 7 o'clock. This is Sky News Tonight, live from Downing Street. A very good evening from Washington, the capital of a nation divided. Good morning and welcome to Murnaghan. Coming up, 2 hours of agenda-setting interviews from our studios here in the heart of Westminster.
With an air of easy authority, the voice that broke the news that wasn't always easy to take was so often that of Dermot Murnaghan.
We have reports from Paris that Diana, Princess of Wales, has been killed in a car accident and that her partner, Dodi Fayed, has also been killed.
Calm credibility is the prerequisite in these moments, and Dermot had it in spades.
We have some very important news. Buckingham Palace has just announced that Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II has died. She was 96 years old. She was the longest reigning monarch in British history and the world's oldest head of state. Her eldest son and heir, Charles, the former Prince of Wales, is now the King.
One of Dermot's great strengths was his ability to stay remarkably calm and lucid under intense pressure. Various rumours had been circling throughout the afternoon that the Queen had died. He'd have heard in his earpiece, "Break the news, Dermot," and he did it brilliantly, ahead of everyone else as it happens. And that was classic Dermot, calm, precise, caught the mood of the country dead right, got the tone right.
Working on some of these big historic moments with Dermot, you could see the high standards he set himself. It was a global audience watching. You know, he wanted to get it right, not just for people watching at home who would be stopping what they were doing, turning on their television, perhaps in tears watching, but also for the team at Sky. This was years in the planning. And Dermot knew he had to get it right for them as well. This ability to communicate, to be the eyes, the person who was there. He had to feel that moment and explain that to people at home, and he did it so well.
With a journalistic career that had its grounding in local newspapers, Dermot went on to work for all the country's major news broadcasters. He began at ITN with appearances on Channel 4 News and News at 10, a high-profile beginning to a high-profile broadcasting career.
We've got a poll this morning in today's Independent, which is saying, and very good morning to you, I should say, which is...
Thank you. Now you're about to ruin it, are you?
In the early 2000s, Dermot embraced the more relaxed format of breakfast television with the BBC.
OK, have a stretch of that, and Phil. You can get into that. That is a small...
I could get into that.
No, not you, but...
But the challenge of rolling news awaited at Sky News, a challenge he relished, becoming a key face of the channel.
Initially, Dermot found the pace of non-stop news quite a surprise and quite a shock to his system. But he was an agile guy with a very formidable brain. And so after the sort of first programme, he understood the speed at which he had to react, and he did that really well.
Good morning and welcome to Murnaghan, live from Westminster.
His Sunday morning politics programme drew all the big names. His interview style, not hectoring or showily combative.
Doing things that use a lot more electricity than many household chores.
Sounds like Tracy Island then. You've got banks of
you're doing the
computers.
same thing.
But precise and exacting.
I don't think you're being terribly fair. Your viewers can make their own decision.
So you're not going to speak until you get the party line right. OK, well, we'll have to end it there. As Shadow Business Secretary, thank you very much indeed.
In his own way, he took no prisoners.
Why do sections of the very party that you devoted your political life and soul to, why do they hate you so fundamentally?
I don't know.
As an interviewer, he was very precise. He was, he knew the brilliance of the short question, straight to the point, very clear. Very much, you felt he was on the viewer's side. You always knew he was asking the questions people wanted asked. He did it very calmly, very well, very precisely, and often he'd sort of get you with just a very short question, no flannel, didn't give you lots of time to think, and that's a pretty good skill.
In the late 90s, he won a Royal Television Society award for putting Peter Mandelson on the spot over his mortgage arrangements.
When one borrows from the bank or a building society, there's a section to fill in, I'm sure you're aware of, which asks you about any outstanding debts. Did you put in £370,000 from Mr. Robinson in that
I can assure you that I have filled in all my forms.
What Dermot brought to this craft of journalism was pinpoint accuracy. He was hugely conscientious, which brought out the detail of stories, and he was utterly fearless with politicians, however erudite and articulate they were. He absolutely believed in holding authority to account.
His interviewing skill was widely acknowledged, not least by that former sparring partner and Prime Minister who came unstuck when probed about his favourite football team.
I know it's not the most important issue, but if your team has won the European Cup only once and you support it, you'd know when it was, wouldn't you?
Yes, but I don't want to...
Do you know when it was?
It was early 80s. I'm not going to give you a date because I'll get it wrong.
And one goal, and you know who scored it?
You're wasting your precious interview time.
OK, it must be, and it is, it's Peter With.
I'd got myself into a terrible mess by misspeaking in the middle of the 2015 election. And so he challenged me on, when did Villa win the Champions League? And I knew the date, but I just didn't want to get it wrong. I was thinking, so I wouldn't answer. I said it was in the early 80s, and I didn't answer the question. And he just kept going. And I think eventually I said, look, you're using up valuable interview time here. But it was very precise, and he had that sort of smile on his face while he was doing it. It was I remember, uncomfortable for me, but I guess there were lots of people out there wanted to know whether I knew the answer.
Not so fast. Sky News here. With me, Dermot Murnaghan.
But this serious broadcaster never took himself too seriously.
Welcome to Eggheads, the show where a team of 5 quiz challengers pit their wits against possibly the greatest quiz team in Britain.
Grabbing any opportunity to throw off the straitjacket of news, whether with comedy sketches or quiz shows.
When you cycle around the Cadbury side here in Keynsham, you get a real sense of just how embedded in the local community it has all become.
Cycling was his love and joy, with many an hour spent battling the climbs of this country and his beloved Ireland, where his family had a home.
I've got a fundraising page, which I know you're going to put up there.
But the real battle was with prostate cancer, and it was a grim one. Untested and undiagnosed until well into his 60s, he was eventually told he had stage 4 cancer.
I fell very ill on a foreign holiday, and kind of rushed back here to get treated by a wonderful health service, and was diagnosed, real bolt from the blue.
With fellow sufferers like Sir Chris Hoy and later David Cameron, he spoke out to warn others and to call for a national screening programme.
Look at the benefit to catching someone like Chris or me earlier on in the diagnosis.
I think it's really important that Dermot came out in the way that he did. As in his broadcasting life, he did it with incredible clarity and just simplicity. He just said to people, I wish I had had it, I should have done it, you should get it. Don't make my mistake. It was incredibly clear, and someone who was so well known to people through his broadcasting career over 40 years, it will have had a huge impact. He will have saved people's lives because people would have heard him say that. They'd think, okay, I won't put off the PSA test, I'll go and ask for one, I'll ask my doctor. And I think it was brilliant that he came out when he did, that he spoke so clearly, and he would have saved lives.
There was a bravery in adversity that characterised the man.
I think we as men have got to start saying we've got to be seen as human beings who may die of this thing.
There was a committee, and a very learned committee, deciding whether there should be a national screening programme for prostate cancer, who just recently reported and said they'll widen the doors, the gates ever so slightly, but they don't think there should be a national one. I know you've followed that. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that's absolutely ridiculous.
I love Dermot's company. He didn't say very much, but when he did chat, what he said was golden, insightful and clear and on the money. And what I really liked about him, that's why he was a good journalist, is he didn't like authority, and he wasn't shy of showing it. And I want to say thanks to you all for putting up with me and supporting me so resolutely through elections, resigning prime ministers and monarchs' funerals.
Dermot Murnaghan, a consummate broadcaster, a voice of our times, a husband, a father, a friend to so many, taken from us so cruelly soon.
You stay classy, planet Earth. Goodbye.
Well, if you are just joining us here on Sky News, we bring you the very sad news of the death of our former colleague, Dermot Murnaghan, at the age of 68 after a period of illness with prostate cancer. A statement released on behalf of Dermot's family has said that it is with great sadness that the family of Dermot Murnaghan announces that he passed away at home in North London earlier this morning at the age of 68, following a period of illness with prostate cancer. He died peacefully with his family at his side. The family wished to thank the medical teams who cared for Dermot with such sensitivity and extraordinary compassion throughout his illness, also for the many, many kind messages of goodwill that he received over the last year since his diagnosis of stage 4 prostate cancer and his subsequent campaigning to raise awareness for screening programmes for the disease. Well, in accordance with his wishes, the funeral will be a small family ceremony. A memorial service for friends and colleagues will follow at St Bride's Church, Fleet Street, later this year. The family requests that anyone wishing to remember him considers supporting Prostate Cancer UK, Prostate Cancer Research and North London Hospice so that others may benefit from the research and care that he received. Well, our correspondent, Lisa Holland, is here in the studio with me. Desperately sad news, Lisa, about our former colleague with whom we worked, me in the studio, you often out in the field for many years.
Yeah, I mean, we all just feel so very, very sad, don't we? Because, you know, as has been said, that Dermot was only diagnosed just in the span of a lifetime, just really only a year ago. And it is just so very, very sad. And of course, all our thoughts are with his wife, Maria, and their children. But here, you know, we knew Dermot as someone who was absolutely fantastic at his job. I mean, he was our guy who broke the news of the passing of the late Queen Elizabeth. He was just so trusted. He was just such a safe pair of hands, and so much more than that. You know, he was never out for that kind of gotcha question, because he always asked the right question in the first place, and he really listened. So it wasn't just a kind of a spray of questions, or he was really kind of engaged, just so talented, spanning a career of so many years and across so many broadcasters. Because, you know, it's one thing to be kind of a good journalist, but to be so versatile, to go from presenting BBC Breakfast News, you know, ITV News at 10, the political programmes and so many other programmes here. And even as we saw there in you know, Mark's report, Mark's summary of Dermot's life, that Eggheads, the podcasts, he was just great, wasn't he?
Yeah, and you get to know somebody, Lisa, in a way when you're working out in the field that's different from when you're in the studio. So you could really see not just what he was like on his feet as a journalist, but what he was like as a person and as part of a team.
Yeah, absolutely. When you go abroad on a story, like you're in a team and you know, because you're kind of away from home, people sort of, you know, have meals together, you're with people like a lot. And one of the clips there actually was in Red Square, and I was going through a phase when I was doing a lot of bureau cover in Russia and in Moscow, and Dermot came out to present some programmes. And so, you know, we everyone as a team, you know, would go out for a meal. He was a team player, and you know, you learn more about people's personality, don't you? And I think, you know, not only was he the trusted journalist, but he was also, you know, such good fun to be around. He was irreverent. Remember that kind of raised eyebrow? Yes. You know, great fun and a great person and a great colleague.
And he had a considered approach to news, didn't he? It's easy in this business to just be reactive and to deal with what's in front of you. But he had a way of really thinking about the import of the story, not just in the way he responded to it, but the way he told it to viewers.
Yeah, he was really sharp. You know, he didn't just kind of gloss over stories. He could see where stories were going, where they'd come from. He thought about it. He challenged, you know, what was going on. He challenged the narrative. And yeah, irreverent, perhaps it is a word, not only trusted, but also irreverent, that he would sort of look between the lines. He was a really good journalist and really engaged with people. people, which is what it's all about. Like, if you can't, engage with the people you're trying to sort of elicit, private, sensitive information and thoughts and responses, so he was really a very good journalist.
And I suppose testament to his ability to do that and to relate to people sitting in their living rooms with him on the screen was the fact that he did a lot of different genres, right? It wasn't just the major news channels in the country. He also lent himself very naturally to lighter entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, as we saw there, the shows like Eggheads, and then switching from that and the podcast. I think he did crime series as well, which he also found very interesting, because I think, the principles are the same, aren't they? To kind of have a subject, and whether it be the life and times of Queen Elizabeth, whether it be what's going on with a particular politician, to sort of really look into that moment and engage with that moment.
Yes, indeed. Stay with us, Lisa, because we will be bringing you back in shortly. But for now, let's bring in my colleague, Sky presenter Mark Austin, who also worked with Dermot back at ITN. Afternoon to you, Mark. Of course, you narrated that piece and tribute to Dermot, and you, like him, really earned your stripes in the major broadcast channels in the country. Your reaction to this terribly sad news?
Yes, good afternoon, Sam. And obviously, first of all, thoughts with Dermot's family. This is just very sad. But yeah, we were contemporaries. Our careers ran in parallel in so many ways, both at ITV News and at Sky News, and we were both at BBC News at different times, but nevertheless, we both worked there. And although I was abroad much of the time on stories, it was the studio that really was his home and a very comfortable home it became for him. He just had this real calmness about him, this unflappable style. And when big stories break, that is, as you know, it's not easy. Composure is the thing, and composure can't be taught. And he was naturally composed, it seemed, very calm in those big moments. And I was in awe of that in many ways, because that is a real gift for a broadcaster. And as Lisa was just saying, and as many people will say later today, he was a really good interviewer as well. He wasn't, overly shouty or combative, but he was precise and forensic. And, that would often do for people. It was the quiet skewering in many ways, which we saw there earlier in my piece with Mandelson over the mortgages, David Cameron over the football team. He just did it in a very precise, low-key way. And quite often a less confrontational style often gets more out of people. And he was also very prepared. He took it all so professionally and seriously, and that is often the key. And viewers liked him. He was very popular, and he'll be greatly missed.
And his versatility really evidenced, Mark, by the fact that he could go from the serious of news to the lightheartedness of entertainment as well.
Yeah, well, I remember speaking to him very briefly when he left ITN to go to the breakfast programme on the BBC, and he just said, look, I just want a bit less news and a bit more fun. And of course, there was that relaxed side to him and a very dry sense of humour. And we would often chat. He'd stop me in the newsroom and have a good old rant at things. But basically, he had this light side to him. Huge Arsenal fan, which wasn't my cup of tea particularly, but a great football enthusiast. He loved his cycling, cycled for miles with his mates, and of course, many people knew him from that the quiz program, Eggheads, which he did for seemingly years. And so he did have that side to him, and I think he enjoyed that part of his career with the more relaxed side.
And like you, Mark, he will have had to get used to the different way which we do news here at Sky News, the more rolling breaking news format. But he effectively became the exemplar for us all, didn't he, on how to manage that?
Well, when I came to Sky News, I found it very difficult. The intensity of it, the speed with which it all moved. You know, having done programs like the ITV Evening News and then News at 10, very different programs, you know, very controlled, very crafted news programs. Suddenly you're thrown into this whirlwind of news with Sky News, and it's very difficult, I found, and it took me months. And one of the guys I spoke to about it was Dermot Murnaghan, and he said, listen, I really struggled at the beginning, but it's in a way, if you embrace it and you enjoy it, you know, you will really start to get reward from your career in rolling news. And that's what clearly happened to him. And that's how it's turned out for me as well. And he was very helpful and very generous at that time, because it is a different way of doing things.
Yeah, it certainly is. And he used his profile in the last year of his life to raise awareness, didn't he, for prostate cancer and the importance of getting checked.
Yeah, and it all happened very quickly for him, obviously. Stage 4 diagnosis is very difficult, obviously. But he joined with Chris Hoy, then David Cameron and others, and decided to join the fight, actually joining, I think, the Prostate Cancer Research Organisation, I think as an ambassador. And he really wanted to sort of drive forward the charity's campaign for national screening and a national screening programme for men at high risk of prostate cancer. And he put a lot of effort in. I mean, it really became his mission, highlighting this need for screening because of obviously his first-hand experience of how prostate cancer impacted his life. And it's the most commonly diagnosed cancer among men in the UK. And I remember talking to him about it, and he just said that he had been fortunate to be receiving the care he was getting, and at that time he was responding well to treatment. But he said, look, my situation now gives me this opportunity, and this I should be, making a noise about it, and it's given me a new kind of sense of purpose. And of course, we now see that the tragic consequences of this cancer, and but it was a fight. It was a good fight that he was having publicly about what was needed. But, the way it's ended is obviously very, very sad. And he'll be remembered, I think, as a very accomplished, very popular journalist and broadcaster.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, isn't it? It's just over 12 months since he got that devastating diagnosis. And you think that he put his time into raising awareness in a way which, getting it out there with Sir Chris Hoy in a way that it hadn't been before. You're talking there, Mark, about how he will be remembered by those who watched him on television. You, as a journalist with a very similar background, how will you remember him?
Well, I will remember him for what I was just talking about, the way he was guiding me through those early times for me at Sky News. But also I think he will be remembered for his versatility as a broadcaster, for his professionalism as a broadcaster, and for his incredibly relaxed style. I mean, it came so naturally to him, and we've just seen those big moments, the death of Diana, the death of the Queen. Moments don't come much bigger than that on television news and broadcast news. And Dermot just dealt with it so calmly. And that, as I said a little earlier, that is a real gift for a broadcaster. And I think, and as I say, people just liked him. He was very popular, and he'll be sorely missed.
Mark, thank you for your reflections on the very sad news of the death of our former colleague Dermot Murnaghan at the age of 68.
The broadcaster and journalist Dermot Murnaghan has died aged 68 after a period of illness with prostate cancer.
It's been confirmed that chemical warheads were not used. We're going to take a break now, then we'll be right back.
Over his 5-decade career, Mr Murnaghan presented the news here at Channel 4, ITV, BBC and Sky. He died peacefully with his family at his side. They thanked the medical teams who cared for him for their sensitivity and compassion throughout his illness.
Former news presenter Dermot Murnaghan has died aged 68, a year after being diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer. He spent 15 years as lead anchor at Sky News and also presented for the BBC, ITV and Channel 4. His family say he died peacefully at home this morning.
Finally, tonight, we remember former ITV News presenter Dermot Murnaghan, who's died at the age of 68, a year after being diagnosed with prostate cancer. He had a career spanning 5 decades. His family say he died peacefully with them by his side. Sam Holder looks back at his career.
Few have presented for all the UK's major news networks. Dermot Murnaghan started at Channel 4.
Good morning, you're watching the Channel 4 Daily.
Before becoming one of the main presenters here on ITV News.
We have a flash here from the Press Association Newswire saying that Diana, Princess of Wales, has died in a car crash in Paris.
His tenacious interview with Peter Mandelson in 1998...
Do you regret not telling him then, given what's happened subsequently?
Oh, well, obviously... led to Mandelson's cabinet resignation the next day and awards for Murnaghan. He was trusted to give Queen Elizabeth II a behind-the-scenes tour of ITN.
If you are wearing green, you would disappear if you stand in this part, so I suggest you don't join me now.
From BBC Breakfast to a Top Gear cameo and presenting Eggheads. He became one of Sky News' lead anchors in 2007.
Good morning and welcome to Murnaghan. Coming up.
In June last year, he announced he'd been diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer.
You know, it affects so many people.
Using his position to encourage men over 50 to seek early screening. In his career, Murnaghan reached millions across multiple channels, becoming one of the most trusted and recognised news presenters in Britain.
Thanks for making this career so worthwhile.
Former ITV News presenter Dermot Murnaghan, who's died at the age of 68.
The newsreader and presenter Dermot Murnaghan has died at the age of 68, a year after he revealed he'd been diagnosed with advanced prostate cancer. Dermot Murnaghan was a fixture of TV news for decades, at ITV, for 5 years on BBC Breakfast, and for 16 years at Sky News. Our correspondent Guy Lambert looks back at his life.
Good morning from Vatican City in Rome. This is a special edition of Breakfast with me, Dermot Murnaghan, live in the Polish capital, Warsaw. Gordon Brown, Prime Minister.
For more than 4 decades, Dermot Murnaghan was one of the defining faces of British television news.
Murnaghan here in Washington. We have reports from Paris that Diana, Princess of Wales, has been killed in a car accident.
His calm style and rigorous journalism earned the trust of viewers across the country. Born in Barnstaple and raised in Northern Ireland, Murnaghan began his career in newspapers before moving into television, where he would go on to work for all of the country's major broadcasters. Never afraid to ask difficult questions, his 1998 interview with the then Trade Secretary Peter Mandelson helped trigger the minister's resignation, scoring Murnaghan a Royal Television Society Award.
When one borrows from the bank or a building society, there's a section to fill in, I'm sure you're aware of, which asks you about any outstanding debts. Did you put in £370,000 from Mr. Robinson in that
I can assure you that I have filled in all my forms.
And it was when he joined the BBC Breakfast sofa in 2002 that his true personality shone through.
Make someone feel special. Give them a hug. Stop moving away, Louise.
I'm waiting. Just, you know. Nearly.
5 years later, he joined Sky News, becoming one of the network's best-known presenters.
Live from Westminster.
Away from the newsroom, he presented the quiz show Eggheads for over a decade, and his love of cycling and fundraising took him across the world.
Like me,
He revealed he'd been diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer in 2025 and used his diagnosis to raise awareness.
Men, if you're in a high-risk group, go and get yourself checked. Now, the important thing is to know if you are in a high-risk group.
In a statement, his family announced he died peacefully at his home in North London, aged 68. with his family by his side.
I want to say thanks to you all for putting...
Dermot Murnaghan, described as peerless in the presenter's chair by his colleagues, a journalist whose kind and sharp interviewing wit made him one of Britain's most respected broadcasters.
You stay classy, planet Earth. Goodbye.
The broadcaster Dermot Murnaghan, who's died at the age of 68.